Hey friends, welcome to my channel. So today we are gonna see, what if Naruto had secret relationship with Mitsuri? So before we start, check out my Patreon page for 1.8+ exclusive mature content. We will now proceed to the video. It was horrible to be alone. Man, sure hope a cute girl would show up, might kill some of this boredom. Clang. Uzumaki Naruto, son of nobody, lived alone at the edge of a village where nobody visited him. He smiled to himself sadly. I should have killed that man. Naruto spoke as he gazed up at the dark sky. He smiled to himself when he recalled his encounter with the black-haired teen, another wandering samurai like himself. He shoved his arm back into the orange sleeve of his black and orange kimono, keeping the chest open to show his bandaged stomach. Or maybe be killed by him. Naruto didn't know the skill of the man. He was a ronin. He had no master anymore, so he just traveled. He was a wanted man in some places, and hailed as a hero in others. Please sir, it's almost morning, may I rest for the day? A girl, seems the gods have blessed me. Naruto grinned as he saw a strange girl, peeking out from behind a tree. She was an odd beauty, with shoulder-length white hair, unnaturally moon-pale skin. It was brought out by the fact that she wore a blood-red kimono that covered most of her small body, with a black fur collar. Naruto reached up and touched the 3 whisker marks on each of his cheeks when he looked at her face, and saw she bore 2 red bars on each of her cheeks. She had white and red eyes, but not in the semi-normal way. The whites of her eyes were red, and the red was white, and there was no light to her eyes. Also, she had horns. Lower 4. Please sir, put away your katana. I mean no harm, I just wish to stay the day, for a meal. I am deathly afraid of the sun. With how pale you are, I bet you've never seen the sun. Sure thing, go in. Naruto didn't mind her strange, and honestly kind of creepy appearance. She was still on the cute side, so she would make great company. She kept her eye on his katana though, with a glint of curiosity or fear in her eyes. Naruto drew his sword and stabbed it into the ground. He gestured to the home he was borrowing, and he looked at the girl. Got a name there. It's Mukago. Uzumaki Naruto, do you have a family name? Naruto asked the woman, and she passed by him and entered the house. He could see the sky was starting to brighten slightly, showing the sun would be in the sky soon enough. He stood up and followed the girl into the building, and she was standing in the darkest part that the sunlight wouldn't touch. She looked at his katana that was stabbed into the ground. I do not. So, what brings you here? I'm hungry, and running away from some people, who would want me beheaded. Ha, a pretty head to behead. Naruto laughed as he sat down, and looked at the kettle he had boiling with water. Mukago kept her eyes on him, and she looked at the sword that he left stabbed into the ground again. She licked her lips, slightly drooling as she looked at his chest muscle, and his unique blonde hair. You must be very hungry. If you want, I can go kill something for breakfast. Naruto offered her. She gulped when she saw how his throat moved when he talked. Would you? Mukago asked. Would you feed me? It's nice to talk with a cute girl, so I don't mind, as long as you aren't a demon, and you're actually talking about eating me, that is. Naruto laughed at the notion. He looked at her, and she recoiled back in shock. How? You're cute, but you have horns, and nobody I've ever met has tattoos in their eyes. I'll be back with something for breakfast. Naruto stated as he walked out into the sunlight. The sun had rose on them while she stayed in the house. He drew his sword and walked off into the forest, leaving Mukago alone inside of the house to think about it. She licked her lips. He isn't wearing a Demon Slayer Corps uniform, and that isn't a Nichiren sword, so even if he cuts my head off, it won't kill me. I was attracted by his scent, but he seems very confident. I don't know how strong he is. Mukago changed her thoughts when she noticed. He was already walking out of the forest with a beheaded bear over his back. She had bear. Been in her thoughts for more than a few seconds, and he was already back with prey. She sat down and patiently waited for him to prepare the bear for cooking. I shouldn't risk it right away. I'll kill him and eat him in his sleep. Mukago smiled almost maliciously when she had her plan. Humans had to sleep eventually, and she couldn't tell how strong he was since she lacked such ability. She didn't want it to become a drawn-out battle that would leave her in the sunlight. She saw him join her in the house half-hour later with bear stew, and passed it in front of her. It stinks, but it's good on the stomach. A bit heavy for breakfast. Naruto noted. You know, I got my name because I was born in the village of Naruto, and I can swim across the Naruto Strait. I cool. D even swim through the Naruto whirlpools, but getting those Naruto oranges made it worth it. Naruto joked with his name. Oh really? Mukago didn't know how to respond to that. He showed weakness seconds later. You see, this spiral. Naruto showed a large circle on his kimono, but near the bottom of the circle was a spiral. The village of Naruto gained the spiral in their seal from the whirlpools. And I swam through those whirlpools, thus I took the name for myself, and my last name, Uzumaki, was taken from those whirlpools. Naruto grinned at his name. Mukago nodded her head, and she ate the breakfast he made for her. She looked at his sword that was stabbed into the ground outside again. She looked at him, and he seemed so comfortable around her. Do you know what demons eat? Never met one before, but the rumors say they eat humans, so that would make me your favorite food. Naruto confirmed that he knew the rumors, and she looked down at the stew he gave her. He was way too comfortable around her. He might be too strong, but he smells so delicious, eating him would make me grow so much stronger. His blood smells delicious, his muscles are lean and tight. The nutritional value in his body might even push me into the upper moons. Mukago thought, her fingers twitching as she ate. She had the urge to eat him, but she didn't want to do so. Nothing that could end up with her out in the sunlight. Dead. You want to eat me, you can try anytime you want. I'm not going to judge you for wanting to eat me, I must look delicious. Naruto logged head as he lifted his thumb up to his mouth, and slowly sank his teeth into his own flesh. He drew blood, and Mukago flew into action when the stronger smell of his blood sent her into a frenzy. He BBED the front of her kimono and flipped her over his shoulder. In a split second the battle was over when Mukago saw herself flying towards the sunlight, her eyes widening in fear. She stopped short, when a hand grabbed her ankle and pulled her back, pushing her back into her seat. Her heart was pounding, and she saw Naruto was laughing at the top of his lungs at her. She wiped the drool from her mouth, and returned to eating the stew he made for her. I apologize. No worries, I figured you would do that. Made it very easy to predict your moves, but I will say you moved much faster than I expected. You must be pretty strong. Well, not that it matters, I still won and spared your life. Naruto saw that she was much more submissive in her body language. She gulped and looked away from his eyes, and looked where she could see the sunlight touching the ground outside. That moment of near death cleared her thoughts instantly, and even if he barely reacted to her in speed, she did. Want to risk another attack during the day. She would kill him at night. You wish to attack me at night now, if you want, you can, but I don't suggest it. After all, you don't know if I kill you forward and forced her to stare into his eyes. She jerked back slightly when he said that, and he just laughed at her. Who knows, maybe when I sleep, I'm able to fight just as well when I'm awake. Naruto hinted to her. He laughed as he finished his breakfast. He leaned up against the wall and just fell asleep right then and there, as if testing her. She gulped and looked at him. He fingers twitching to kill and devour every part of him. The next night, she didn't attack him. What if he is right? What if he could kill me in his sleep? I don't have enough information. I shall observe him more. Mukago thought. She would stalk her prey and wait for the perfect time to strike. She followed him closely as he walked through the forest, carrying all of his belongings with him. She was hungry, starving, but the human food that he fed her at least allowed her to not attack him blindly. Her fingers itched to sink into his skull from behind. Could she kill him? She didn't know. She needed to know she had a 100% chance of winning. -6 months later. Mukago fed Naruto with a soft smile on her face. She had been traveling with him for 6 months, and she still didn't know if she could kill him or not. Or if he had some kind of hidden power. She would sneak off when he slept, eat a human or two, and return before he woke up so that she could keep observing him. Sometimes he was upset with her, and sometimes he was fine with what she did. So, she ended up only eating the humans who smelled like blood, those who killed people, because whenever those were the humans she ate, he seemed to be fine. If she ate any human who didn't smell like blood, he was upset with her, refusing to talk with her. So, is tonight the night you're going to attack me? Naruto covered his mouth while chewing. So he could talk. I might. That night, she attacked. She attacked him again. Then he counterattacked, and she was left screaming at his attack. Then he grew tired, thanks to her endless demon stamina. So she attacked again while he was tired. She didn't stop attacking. Wow, that was something. Mukago was left feeling very satisfied from her meal. She laid back and rubbed her belly. It really was. You are a demon. I am. Mukago saddled her naked body right next to Naruto's nude form, a thin sheen of sweat covering him. She took a deep, satisfied breath and got a nose full of the scent they left in the air with their battle. Maybe, Mugako thought as she bit her lip. She could keep it a secret. It might work. Maybe she could do it so that she could meet up with him again, and start a different kind of relationship. One that wasn't hunter and prey. Mukago knew that the upper moons could turn humans into demons by giving them blood. Since they had some kind of special permission to do so. Naruto. Sorry. Mukago stabbed her hand into his side, and she injected copious amounts of her blood into his body while wrapping her other arm around him. She didn't know if it would work, but she wanted to at least try. If it didn't work, she would eat him, and if it did work, she would be forced to abandon him for the moment. Naruto gasped in shock. What the hell, grr? Naruto growled in anger and pushed her off of him. Sorry, we'll meet again. Mukago grabbed her clothes and ran with them, leaving Naruto behind and in agony to watch her run. If you don't survive, I'll make sure we become one, and we can be together forever. Mukago promised him, before she kept running even faster. And soon enough she was gone. She left him, she came, and then she went. At least, this wasn't boring. Naruto grinned and forced himself to smile through the pain. He gasped and struggled, grinning even wider as he did his best to resist whatever painful thing was happening inside of his body. He passed out. Another set of boring challengers. Naruto Uzumaki had an extra, Emily fuzzy memory of the things that had happened to him up to this point, though he knew the facts that he used to be a human, and was now a demon. He had a craving for human flesh, though he had to eat any and his stomach was growling. He couldn't go out in the day, he just felt the instinct in him that day walking was about as bad of an idea as they came. 4 demon slayers lay on the ground in front of him. Defeated, broken, but not dead. Go on, shoo, your blood makes my mouth water. Naruto waved them off. The longer they stayed, the hungrier he was going to get. He was going to kill some strong predator animal to sat his hunger for the moment after they left. He flipped his sword back around and sheathed it, having only used the blunt end to attack them the entire time. He toyed with the novice swordsmen and women. Days later, another group, injured, but nothing life-threatening. More than 40 of their lower-ranked demon slayers were all in bed, bandaged up and unable to move well, but alive and in stable condition. Broken bones being the most serious of their injuries, but no bite marks, and all of them having the exact same story to tell them about their mission. How no matter how many of them approached him, none of them could so much as lay a single blade on him. The demon of Mt. Kurama, not even demon slayers of the Kinoto or Kino ranks combine. Were able to get him to take them seriously. These wounds were deliberate, made to wound, inflict great pain, but not kill, or prevent them from fleeing. A demon did this. Shinobu, a Hashira of the highest rank, looked at the medical charts of every single member who had been injured. It was her medicine that was being used to heal them, and her group that were allowing them to recover safely. A demon that didn't kill demon slayers and allowed them to run away freely was strange, but it wasn't completely unheard of for a demon to play the long game. A demon that defeated over 80 demon slayers ranging from every rank other than Hashira itself was unheard of though. Could you tell how many humans he had eaten? From what I sensed, he hadn't eaten anyone yet. He must be starving. A starving demon shouldn't have the willpower to avoid eating, and for this much power to be held by a new demon. Shinobu dropped her smile for a moment. If a Kino rank said that a demon hadn't eaten anyone, she was very likely to believe them. That was the highest rank of demon slayer, other than her own rank of Hashira, the elite of the elite. He must have been an absurd human. Did you get his name? Shinobu asked the defeated core member. Uzumaki Naruto. That name sounds familiar. Shinobu had heard that name from somewhere before, but she couldn't recall where she had heard it before. She felt like she had at least read about that name from somewhere, even if she had never heard it in conversation. I guess this is a job for a Hashira. I wonder what meeting him will be like. Shinobu would wait until there was another Hashira that could come with her. She wondered what Gyu was doing. Weeks later. Yuck, what a man wouldn't do for a bowl of ramen. Naruto lamented his current situation, and sighed in boredom as he ate a deer. He cooked it for flavor, but that was about it. It sated his hunger enough to keep him sane, but didn't get rid of the craving he had in his core. A demon slayer was coming. Is it 1 or 2? Seems strong, maybe it won't be boring. Naruto stopped eating and moved to sit outside, and he stabbed his sword into the ground. He just leaned forward, placed his hands on the handle, and just grinned pleasantly. He waited. They were walking, and taking forever with it. He started to tap his foot against the ground, his smile twitching with just how long his enemy was taking to approach him. She arrived. Well, this is disappointing, and after you kept me waiting. Naruto saw a woman, more than a foot shorter than he was. She didn't even reach the 5 feet point in height, and while she had some serious development in her chest and hips, when it came to her arms, the strength needed to cut his head off. He could tell that she lacked the sheer physical strength needed to give him a challenge. Excuse me, don't worry about it, I'll tell you the rules. Are you Uzumaki Naruto, demon of MT Kurama? Shinobu asked as she clicked her sword out of its sheath slightly. She was ready the moment it looked like he was going to try anything. If his strength was as strong as it had been shown, making the first move would be a mistake. She didn't know what his skills were, and most slayers had only vague memories of what he could do with a sword. Naruto nodded his head. Rule 1. Come at me with every intention to kill me, or you won't even scratch me. Rule 2. Never turn a blind eye to me, or you will regret it. Rule 3. Always keep your eyes on my sword and feet, though. Say are the best ways to tell what my next move will be. Shinobu frowned as her enemy stated rules, but the rules were just methods to make the fight against him even easier for her. He was giving her tips on how to kill him best, which meant he seemed to be underestimating her. She didn't say anything, or even allow her offense to show on her face. He just lifted up another finger, and showed the were even more rules for her to follow. Rule 4. Have fun. Have fun. Yeah, helping people grow stronger is fun. So once you lose, be sure to come back and try again as many times as you want, get as strong as you can. And only when you have reached your peak, will I kill you. Naruto stood up and placed the palm of his hand on his sword. Uzumaki Naruto, wanted Ronin, a man who tamed the cursed name of 1001 man, a man who slaughtered an army of 1,000 samurai in a single night. That was who you were as a human. Shinobu reached into her pocket and showed Naruto a wanted poster of him. That is horribly drawn, that barely look like me at all. 1,000 men, sounds about right. Seems like something I could do. Naruto kicked his sword up and blocked a stab from Shinobu. He placed his finger against the side of his sword and pushed her back, and she crossed the distance to escape any counterattack. She had used the poster as a distraction against him. Shinobu sheathed her sword again and took up a different position. You murdered humans. Meh, was it self-defense, was it war, what were the conditions that caused that? Naruto watched as she zipped forward, in a zigzagging pattern faster than a normal eye could see. She cracked the stone underneath her as she moved, and she unsheathed her sword. Dance of centipede. 100-legged zigzag. The speed is absolutely amazing. She seems inhuman in that aspect, but her arms lack the strength to do a finishing blow against a demon. Naruto caught the tip of her sword in his hand, as his other hand went towards his own. Shinobu backed away and ripped her sword out of his hand. He cut off his own hand in an instant. Poison, that is how you do it. Now that is amazing, no wonder you kept sheathing your sword. That is something. Naruto saw the hand he cut off turn purple and get destroyed, and he instantly grew back another hand. The sword she used had no normal blade, but instead looked like a sharpened stinger made for injecting poison. Even without the strength to cut off a head, you worked your speed and agility together, and found a way. Now that is the embodiment of the human spirit. Naruto laughed and leaned forward, holding his gut. Shinobu was smiling. He reacted to me. A demon has never reacted that way to my speed or poison. The second the poison was injected into him, he realized what happened and cut his infected hand off. Shinobu watched him carefully, putting both her hands on her sword. He wasn't moving towards her, instead he looked at his own sword. Then there was a sound. You breathed differently right before you went on the offense. The others did something similar. Breathing styles. Hey, I might try and make one for myself. A vein appeared on Shinobu's forehead, but she pushed a smile onto her lips. She held herself back from saying anything. Why haven't you eaten or killed anyone, if you are this strong? Because, eating humans is gross, duh. Yeah, you smell and look delicious, but the fact is, I was once human. If humans can become demons, that means demons might be able to become human, meaning eating humans is still cannibalism. And that is gross. Naruto explained his logic to her. No demon has ever become a human though. So, if there was a first human to become a demon, that means eventually there will be a demon who becomes human, and I'm just not interested in picking on the weak. Killing people weaker than me when I have the chance not to kill them is just bullying. Naruto pointed his sword at her. Rule 3. Shinobu was caught off guard when the light of the moon glinted in her eyes, and she started to move back, but stopped. She saw a flash of his sword, and he was on her. He stepped forward, his foot between her legs and stopping her footwork from any complex techniques. His arm extended over her body, and his sword was pressed against her back, with his forearm pressing against her shoulder. At this distance, I can't unsheath my sword and attack, and with his sword on my back, I can't retreat. He is too close to attack, and his leg makes it impossible for me to move to either side. Not without tripping. Shinobu couldn't lean back or do any movements or risk his sword cutting her back open. He elbowed her in the face. Her nose crunched and he took his sword back so she didn't cut herself when she was knocked backwards. She regained her balance and created instead of getting as far back as possible. Your techniques use your small, bug-like size, combined with your inhuman speed and agility in order to make your attacks hard to predict and block, and dodging is hard with your speed, but you need excellent eyesight and reaction time to pull it off. Thus if your mobility is restricted and reaction time hampered, got it? Naruto analyzed, broke down, and countered her fighting style. Remember rules 1 through 4. I never got your name. Quote. Come on, I'm not going to fight you anymore if you don't tell me your name. Naruto complained when she just gave him a glare. The smile on her face looked like at any moment it could break. And more veins started to appear around her face. She was pissed. Calm down, full speed, I have to go for the neck, nothing else will work. Shinobu reached up and snapped her nose back into place, blowing the blood out of it. Naruto dropped his smile. Full speed, I'm going to inject poison into his neck, because he can't cut that off, nothing else will work. Well, I'll give you that, you are following rule 1. Naruto told her. He sighed in disappointment. Come at me when you're ready. Naruto flipped his sword. He watched her take a deep breath, and the veins arrow. Her entire body became more pronounced. She rushed him with her absolute full speed, enough speed that he couldn't even see her attack. She was faster than his eyes could see. Snap. Shinobu's blah snapped when Naruto struck her blade with his sword, not looking at her face, her sword, or anything. He kept his eyes unfocused, not relying on them in the slightest in order to react to her attack. As long as you know the enemy's fighting style, and their goal, even if they outspeed you, you can guess where they will attack. People can only move at full speed in a straight line. You weren't going for my back. You were going for my neck. With your sword and size, you were going to attack from below, that left only a small window for you to attack. Naruto showed that he had her arm in his other hand. Quote. You're not suited for this. You're going to get killed and eaten by a demon, a skilled demon, or a demon your poisons won't kill right away. You don't have a chance to survive against them. This is the limit of your strength. Naruto let go of her arm. I still have. The fight is over now, breaking you to grow stronger. Anything else I do to you will only be needless and cruel. The fight is over. Naruto sat down, and stabbed his sword into the ground. He had no desire to continue fighting her if this was the limit of her strength. Shinobu was frozen in place. What? Rule 4, have fun, and it would be breaking Rule 4 if we continued fighting. I've broken your sword, your speed is. Naruto grabbed her foot when she rushed forward and kicked him. She took the broken part of her sword and dug it into his forearm. He cut his arm off, grabbed her foot, twisted it, and pushed her away. Go, leave, your hands weren't meant for killing. I can't in good conscience. Demons don't have that. Quote. I'm done fighting you. Your sword is broken, and so is your ankle, your speed has been reduced, you no longer have your full sword's range of power. She moved. Naruto smacked his fist into the side of her head, and she went down. She collapsed down, unconscious, like a log with her eyes rolled into the back of her head. Naruto looked at her, and she woke herself up. He stepped on her torso. Crack, stay down, the fight is over, and it is time for dinner. Naruto grabbed the unconscious woman and dragged her by the shirt towards the house. Naruto heard the cawing of a crow, and saw one flying away. Elsewhere, I see, it quickly spread, the news that Shinobu had fallen in battle, that she was dragged into a hoe. Used to be eaten by a demon quickly spread among the demon slayers. Gyu felt regret, I should have gone with her, this must have been one of the upper moons. Gyu shouldn't have rejected her proposal of going with her to slay the demon. He had believed her to be strong enough to handle it on her own, but he had just assumed it was a strong demon, not a demon with strength on par with an upper moon. Demon of Kurama, I will behead you, Gyu promised himself. He would have revenge for his fallen comrade. It hurt to breath. He broke a few of my ribs for sure, this will weaken my ability to use total concentration breathing. Why didn't he kill me though? Shinobu instantly assessed her situation the second she woke up. Her eyes scanned the room as she remained flat on her back. And she looked down at her body using the smallest of head movements. She was in her pants, and her chest was bandaged up, with a large bruise right across her sternum from what swelling she could see. Her pants leg was pulled up so that her broken ankle could be wrapped. She looked and she saw her sword sheath was destroyed, and her broken sword was broken into even more pieces. After she had passed out, he had destroyed her weapon and sheath seemingly to make sure that she couldn't fight him again. There he was. I can feel that, neat killing intent, but with your broken ankle and 6 broken ribs. You won't be fighting anymore. Also, you have no weapon anymore to fight with, our fight is over now. Naruto stated without even looking in her direction. With just her killing intent, he was able to figure out that much. He grabbed a bowl of stew, and he slid it across the room towards her. This bastard, he breaks my body, and now expects me to trust his food. Shinobu thought as she looked at the stew. There was meat and veggies in the stew, and all things considered she must have been asleep for a while, because she was famished. The scent of the hot stew was enough to water her mouth for her. Very charitable, for the one who broke my body in the first place. Shinobu didn't take his meal into her lap, even as she forced herself to sit up. It's not charity, it is respect. You might not be suited for the path of a warrior, but you are still a warrior with great skill. You brought yourself to your limit, and I respect all the effort it took for you to get as strong as you are. So eat and regain your strength. Naruto turned his head to look at her. So you can fatten me up, you break my ankle so I can't get proper training, and then give me a high-calorie meal to put meat on my bones. Shinobu shot at him, her smile was morphed a little, and the veins around her forehead were pronounced. She was so visibly angry just from that. I didn't choose to become a demon. Naruto responded to her. No, I guess you didn't. Shinobu sighed and looked away from him. What is the real reason why you haven't eaten or killed a human since becoming a demon? Shinobu asked him, since she could tell that he was hungry. She grabbed the stew he offered her, and she stared at her wavering reflection in it. A demon with some semblance of his human memories. That had never eaten a human after transforming was rare. This was the first demon she had ever heard of that didn't eat humans, or even kill them. I already told you, because it's gross. Humans and demons don't seem too different to me. I don't have a lot of my human memories, but the ones I have are bloody. This is a chance for me to turn over a new leaf, I guess. Naruto glanced towards Shinobu. Eat, recover your strength. Shinobu threw the stew at him, covering him in its contents. She gave him an actual glare, her smile now completely a frown. No, I refuse to believe a demon like you actually exists. Demons are evil, they eat humans without caring about the families those humans leave behind. My sister would have loved to meet you. Shinobu growled and put her hand against her face. Why did this guy have to smile at her? Her sister had a dream, for humans and demons to be able to live amongst each other in peace. She refused to believe that this man even existed. Somebody that proved her sister was right. A demon her sister would have been happy to be friends with, who showed no signs of giving into his hunger and devouring an injured, helpless human. That is interesting, and she was eaten by a demon. Have you gotten revenge, or have you gotten justice for her? Naruto could tell by context how her sister died. Shinobu returned her glare to him. What is the difference? Revenge, justice. I hate demons, and want them all to suffer. But you also want to fulfill your sister's dream too, so you want to find a demon you can be friends with. But you don't want to find them either. A contradiction. You wish to fulfill your sister's dream, but at the same time, you hate the idea of your sister being killed by demons. And then getting along with them. Your desire for revenge is higher than your desire for justice. Naruto smiled at her with a twinkle to his eyes. Shinobu bit her lip so hard that she started to bleed over her chin. What is the difference? Revenge is purely to make yourself feel good, and it accomplishes nothing. Justice brings evil to light, and it is used to protect others from becoming victims. I don't need a demon lecturing me on justice. I was once human too, remember? Ah, yes. I remember why I killed those 1,000 samurai now. Hey, talking about justice and revenge jogged that memory. Naruto laughed as he remembered exactly the reason why he went on a rampage and murdered so many people in a single night. Shinobu didn't ask him a question. My sister really would have loved to be your friend. Shinobu whispered that to herself, hating herself because she knew exactly how her sister would react to this meeting. She would have been free and happy to talk to such a friendly, understanding demon. Naruto turned his head to grin at her. Then, to your sister, may she watch over her sister, and her new friend, from the afterlife in peace. Naruto pushed a second bowl of stew to Shinobu. Shinobu was confused, and angry. What? Well, if your sister would have wanted to be my friend, then I consider your sister my friend, and I pray that my friend watches over me from her afterlife. I'm friends with your sister now, and let us rejoice. Naruto popped the cork off of a sake gourd sitting next to him, and he drank deeply from it. He finished it all off. Before he smiled at Shinobu again with some sake dripping from his chin. Go on, eat you friend's sister to go hungry. You're not her friend. She is dead. Of course I'm her friend. Because your sister is here right now. She can hear every word we're saying, because she loves you. Your sister is always watching over you, so of course she can hear my offer. And if she wanted to be friends with demons, then of course she would accept my friendship. Shut up, how dare you say something so correct about her? Shinobu hated how she couldn't call him a liar, and how he was correct. She would never disrespect her sister by saying anything he was saying was false, because despite never having met her, he seemed to know her well. She would have loved to be his friend. Ha 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 ha, it isn't funny. Stop laughing. It is hilarious, and I know your sister is laughing with me. I can't see her, feel her, hear or smell her, or sense her, but I know right now, your sister is laughing. She is happy, and she is laughing at how cute her little sister is being right now. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. Shinobu was turning bright red in the face. There he was, doing it again. That was exactly what her sister would do, and right now at the very moment she spoke with the man, it was almost like she could see her sister next to him. She could see her sister sharing a drink with him, laughing with them as the two talked. Shinobu quickly turned her head away from the image. Is he just mocking me? By the way, what is my new friend's name, and do you want to properly introduce yourself now, as a friend? Naruto asked her. All relent, you would be her friend, but you aren't my friend. I'm sure my friend would be sad her sister didn't see me as a friend. And what is my friend's name? Kanae Kocho. Shinobu had no response to deny him anymore. It was like he knew her sister so well, despite having never met her before. How do you know so much about her? Shinobu asked Naruto. Because you're a beautiful, strong, and graceful woman, she must have been even more beautiful, stronger, and more graceful for you to idolize her so much. She must have been an amazing woman. She wanted to be friends with demons, so I can't see her as anything but a kind, loving, soft-spoken girl with a great nature, easygoing too, maybe a bit of an airhead. But I would bet her heart was always in the right place. That is the Kanae I imagine in my head at least. Naruto could only imagine her based off context clues that Shinobu was unknowingly giving him. And he found his mental image to be of an amazing woman. Shinobu smiled. You're right. You really are right. My sister was. She is all of those things, of course. Shinobu couldn't look Naruto in the face when she spoke. Of course you're right, of course you're right. Shinobu lifted a hand to eyes when tears started to blur her vision. You and she would have been. There is no would have, me and your sister are friends, because she is here, right now, watching over you. She heard my offer of friendship, and she accepted my friendship. So even if death is keeping us apart, your sister is my friend. You're right, you're completely right, you are her friend, because that is just who she is. Shinobu was crying. It hurt to breath, but crying felt so good to her. She felt a huge weight on her shoulders get lifted at the idea that after death, even after death her sister managed to achieve her dream. She knew that her sister didn't die for nothing. Now, as your sister's best demon friend, I am asserting my authority as friend, and telling you to eat. Your sister and I would hate to see you neglecting your health like this. Naruto pointed to the bowl of stew in her hands. Eat up Shinobu, or do you want to make your sister angry? If I know my friend, I bet she would be upset at you for refusing her friends. Kindness. Yes, but, eat up and heal. Yes, eat and get your strength back. Quote, Shinobu turned her head like lightning hitting the ground, when for a split second she was sure that she had heard her sister talking to her. She started to eat the stew he prepared for her. She stopped for a moment when she saw him take his sword, unsheath it. Finish that by the time I get back. You'll need seconds to regain your strength. Single quote. He really is trying to help me heal, I guess. Shinobu watched the man leave the small home. She never thought she would see it happen. Even in the afterlife, somehow her sister had managed to make a new friend. Gentleness. Quote. This ointment is good for injuries. Quote. It's a gentle ointment, Shinobu stated, as Naruto gently rubbed ointment into her ankle. She covered her chest with her arm, and she looked at him not even paying attention to that fact. The way he held her calf with one hand, and gently applied the ointment with his other hand while looking over her leg implied something with demons. With a normal demon, a demon doing that would imply they were thinking of where to start digging into her leg. At this point, she knew he was no normal demon. Quote. There was once a medicine woman I met, she had legs very much like your legs. Naruto pointed out as he looked up towards her eyes. The memory just came to me. The medicine woman who treated my wounds back then, she taught me how to make this very ointment. Naruto gave a gentle smile as he dipped his fingers into more ointment and rubbed it into her leg. Shinobu was speechless, not out of shock or awe, but because she just didn't know what to say to that. Do you remember her name? I don't. I remember her death, but not her name. If there is something that makes me sad to be a demon, it's so many of my human memories. I don't have them now. Naruto moved closer to Shinobu, and she lifted her free arm up her breast so that he could unwrap the bandages around her ribs. She was a kind, gentle, lovely woman, she was soft-spoken. Naruto told Shinobu about the woman from his memories. There was a huge bruise on her ribs still, showing where he had broken her body in their fight. Naruto placed a hand under the bruise, before he took a dab of the ointment and started to rub it into the bruised and broken flesh. Quote. Are you truly not tempted to eat me? Tempted or not, I won't eat a friend, and you're my friend. All I want to do, is heal my friend. Naruto finished rubbing ointment into her ribs, before he moved using his knees. And went behind her. She had a large bruise on her back as well, and he opened another jar of the ointment. Quote. How did she die, this lovely woman? She was killed by a samurai, you see. The lord of the area wanted her as his bride, but she didn't love him. If he couldn't have her, nobody could have her. Naruto remembered that. Quote. I found her, and my memories is hazy after that. I remember my anger, and after that, I do remember how empty I felt when I got revenge for her. Naruto explained as he began the process of healing the bruises on her back. Shinobu couldn't help but smile. Were you infatuated with her? Shinobu couldn't keep the small amount of awkward teasing out of her voice. As much as part of her screamed to hate this demon, the louder part of her was pushing down that voice. He was a good man. You know, I think I was. She loved flowers. Naruto told her. Quote. Is that important? Shinobu didn't know why he mentioned her. Quote. When I got revenge for her, I felt empty, so instead, I remember that I traveled the land. I found the most beautiful flowers I could find, and I planted them on her grave. Naruto kept his voice gentle and even. Quote. Revenge left a hole in my heart, but what filled it was a goal, what filled it was the happy memories I had. I celebrated her memory, and now I barely remember her. Naruto laughed under his breath. Shinobu didn't find it funny. She found it sad, so sad that she almost wanted to cry for the man behind her. He started to change her bandages, starting by wrapping them around her ribs slowly. But he made sure they were tight and secure. His gentle Hanwei was off about his hands. They were hands that wielded a sword in anger, but could wield medicine with kindness. His hands had touched a woman, and he knew how to treat one with delicacy. Quote. Was she your lover? I think she was. I'm sure she was. I hope she was. Naruto could only answer those questions with that vagueness. He didn't know. Most of his memories of the girl were faded from his mind, beyond a mist. My memories of her are tainted by sadness, but despite that, my heart remembers her with fondness. Friend or lover, all I need to know was that she was important to me. Shinobu smiled. So she is the reason, you killed 1,000 men for her then. Shinobu had her reason, and she smiled, before she frowned. He got revenge by slaying 1,000 men. She didn't need him to confirm it for her, she could tell that she reminded him of his old lover. She was also a medicine woman, He practiced her craft with poison so well because of her medical knowledge. She knew that a man as strong as him, wielding his strength for a fallen lover, could topple an army if he so chose to. That, I'm certain of. Revenge for the dead is empty. It doesn't bring them back, and revenge brings the dead no happiness, it leaves you empty and alone, because when you are consumed by revenge, what remains when that is gone? Is nothing. Naruto finished wrapping her breasts up, before he got to her shoulder and sternum. He used her shoulder so that he could apply the bandage with pressure between her breasts. Quote. I hate demons still. Naruto didn't say anything as he stood up, and he walked away from Shinobu so that he could start making her a meal. Shinobu looked towards him as he started a fire. And she smiled at him when she saw him unfazed. But I don't hate you, Shinobu admitted, looking away from him. There was a long silence. The next night, Shinobu walked on crutches made from tree branches. There was Naruto, sitting down with a jug of sake with a calm smile. He just stared up at the moon with a twinkle to his eye. There was dinner cooking in a pot next to him, and she smiled at it. He was making sure she got 3 healthy meals a day, and he made an ointment for her every night. Then during the day he would change her bandages for her inside of the house, away from the sunlight. He was taking perfect care of her, and he had helped her recovery by making her away so that she could stand up and get some light walking done. She could control her breathing again, so she was able to increase the speed she healed. She would be fully recovered in a week. With how well she was eating, and the medicine he was using on her, she would be back in fighting condition soon enough. They say if a demon eats the blue spider lily, they can conquer their weakness to the sun. Have you ever considered searching for it, so that you can continue your journey? Shish, Inobu asked as she sat down next to Naruto. She looked up at the moon, but found herself not interested in it or its beauty. Naruto glanced towards her. Quote. Why search for it? I can name 3 places where it grows. Naruto already knew the flower she was talking about. Quote. I already told you, didn't I? Naruto smiled at Shinobu. She got it. He planted blue spider lily on his lover's grave, meaning he had to at least find one place where it grew. If it is as beautiful as red spider lily, I understand him not wanting to disturb it, did he not? No, it could grant him the ability to walk in the sun. Shinobu looked towards Naruto, who just looked up towards the moon again. You could, I understand you're powerful, if you want, once I'm healed you could come with me, you could join me. As a demon slayer, Shinobu didn't know what was coming over her. From a sheer skill aspect, he was already above her. If anything, she would place his abilities easily on par with an upper moon. He was a demon that no Hashira could just beat by themselves, the way he toyed with her told her that much. His power could be a huge asset to them, and if he could master a breath-ing style to go along with his monster power, then they could start slaying upper moons. I could vouch for you, offer my seal of approval. I don't want the only demon worth being friends with. I don't want demon slayers to keep hunting you. Shinobu explained her reasoning. As long as he was a demon, unless somebody vouched for him and he was useful to them, he would forever be a target to be hunted. My sister, Shinobu stopped her words in her throat. Naruto smiled without looking at her. He was being patient, and he only glanced at her briefly when she was looking away. Should we ask your sister what she thinks? Naruto asked Shinobu when she paused for too long. Kanae, do you think I should join the Demon Slayers? Naruto asked the air. Shinobu looked at him with her eyes widened. She turned her head towards the moon. My dear friend Naruto, nothing would make me happier than to fight by your side, to live, breathe, eat, and help others knowing we will do it together. Shinobu spoke those words. She could imagine her sister was going to say them. If asked, she would be positive her sister would respond just like that. And now what does Shinobu want? What are her feelings? I believe my sister would. I know my sister needs this. We lost our parents, she her students, she lost me to the demons. She is filled with so much hatred, sometimes it blinds her, but I can tell you calm her. When you are around, she feels happy, she feels like I'm back in her life. She still hates demons, but she wants to live, and smile, and fight, and laugh with you. As a dear friend, Shinobu continued speaking what she believed with all of her heart and soul that her sister would say. She revealed what was in her own heart when she did so. Will you take the risk, will you please? Shinobu couldn't stop the tears. The words were stuck in her throat. When she pretended to be her sister, and when she said what was truly in her heart. It hurt her so much, but she enjoyed the pain. Revenge was empty. No amount of killing demons had ever brought her an amount of real joy. It never brought back her sister to her. This healed her. As she pretended to be her sister, she thought like her, she could only do her best to think like her. She imagined, she remembered everything she loved about her sister. She felt like in her memories, her sister was always next to her, wanting what was best for her. It hurt, but even in that hurt she felt happy. Like her sister wasn't gone. Will you please join my sister, and live with her? Will you look after her, and keep her safe, will you? Naruto trailed off, placing his hand on her head. He gently rubbed the top of her head as he spoke. Shinobu was crying, unable to speak. But she was smiling. There was a silence where only the crickets and animals in the forest could be heard to go with the sounds of her crying. Naruto just kept rubbing the top of her head. Thank you, Naruto. Will you take the risk and fight by my side? Will you, a demon, take the risk and join me in my fight? Will you risk it all? Shinobu didn't need to pretend to speak for her sister anymore. She was doing something more now. Shinobu was speaking for herself, and her own desires. I hate those that lie to themselves. I'm not lying, Shinobu had a finger pressed against her lips. So I love how honest you are being. Yes, I will go with you. As my friend, I will go with you. I will always be there to help you when you need help here. Naruto pointed as he touched her forehead. Here, Naruto lowered his finger and touched her heart. Or even when you need help with this. Naruto held her hand and gripped it into a fist. As your friend, I am on your side. Naruto confirmed for her. Shinobu's lips quivered, before she smiled. Thank you. Shinobu looked up at the moon. She closed her eyes, and she took a deep breath. She felt at peace. Shinobu awoke when she heard the sound of house. The sound of their footsteps enough told her it wasn't Naruto, because his footsteps had a certain sway to them that she had memorized without trying. He walked like a fine warrior, but these were footsteps from a group of men she would say. Hey, score, a pretty one too. Bet she would sell for a lot. Shinobu sat up and placed her hands in her lap. There are 3 of you, and 1 of me, but you will find that even injured, you 3 will not be able to win. Shinobu didn't have a weapon, but she was sure if Hey got too close to her she would be able to subdue them with just her hands. Naruto was out hunting, though she expected he would be back any moment. Oh, sell her for what? There he was, and just like that she relaxed. She wouldn't even have to lift a finger now that Naruto had showed up, and his flaming red eyes were staring at the Ronin before him. There were 3 sword wielders, all with rough clothes showing signs of being on the run. Shit. One of them ran when he looked at Naruto's face. Oh, this guy has a bounty on his head. I could live 3 lifetimes of luxury off the bounty your head offers. A different Ronin drew his sword. Shinobu just laughed into her hand, because she didn't imagine that statement going over well. In the darkness, a demon. just had the advantage, and these men weren't trained on breathing techniques used to enhance the body to combat demons. Naruto was already standing behind them. There was a splatter of blood. Both of the men who didn't run away collapsed with wounds across their chests. Naruto had already sheathed his sword, and he kicked the men out of the house. He groaned in pain, before looking back towards Naruto. Run, or fight and die. Don't you know a demon lives on this mountain? Naruto leaned over their bodies. Me. They scrambled to their feet and ran, leaving their broken swords behind. Shin. Obu looked at the two swords that had been shattered. She rubbed her eyes, because it had only been for a brief moment that she had seen what Naruto had done. He used his sword to knock their own swords against their skin. Before he swung and shattered both of their swords with 2 blows. In less than an instant, he swung his sword 4 times and managed to not get even a drop of their blood onto his sword. Does this mountain get bandits a lot? Ronin, and it seems they formed a group. Oftentimes Ronin who travel will see a house in the mountains, and make it their own. Ronin who sell women into the sex industry are common around these parts. Naruto looked down at Shinobu. He didn't worry if she was alright or not. I would rather not be tempted by whatever it was you planned to do to them. Naruto imagined what he did was a lot less bloody than what she was going to do. He was flat out merciful. I was just going to defend myself, and nothing more. Well, they were lucky you were here. If I were human, I would have just killed them to reduce the number of people like them in the world. Naruto laughed. It was hard to imagine, but becoming a demon might have mellowed him out even more than before. The lack of danger he felt just allowed him to relax at almost any given moment. Shinobu managed to stand up on her own, without the need for crutches. I would like to get dressed, in my real clothes. Okay then. Naruto just turned around and gave her privacy to get changed. He didn't bother leaving the house though. How is your chest? Has your bruise healed? Naruto heard the sound of clothes shifting as Shinobu picked up her folded clothes. She looked at them. The ribs and tears in her uniform had been patched up, and the blood stains had been washed out. She gave a small click of her teeth in pain when she leaned down, but she had managed to recover most of the way. She looked down at her own torso, where there was still a bruise, but a bruise that was so massively reduced in size. May I research the ointment you made for me? Shinobu had never had an ointment that worked so well with so little applications of it before. Her ankle was sore, and that was as far as her broken ankle hurt. It was fixed up, and all there was now was a soreness. She watched as Naruto leaned down and picked up the swords from the ground, without looking in her direction. I've always hated the steel used for the katana. Naruto sighed as he looked at the metal. Oh, the steel we use for katana is just a lower quality than steel all around the world. I met travelers from the West, several of them. Those from India and Europe have swords of such a great quality. My own sword is made of that steel. Naruto unsheathed his sword. It was a katana as well. But the quality of his sword was visibly better. We fold our steel, not because it is something we like to do, but because it is something we must do to have a sword of decent quality. Even our swordsmanship was built around using an inferior metal. Naruto could only sigh. So, your sword is better. My sword has a higher purity, and is much more durable. Do you know why a Western sword has 2 edges, and why the katana has a dull end? Naruto flipped his sword and ran his finger along the blunted edge of the blade. Because we have to block with this end, or else risk damaging the blade. One wrong move, and a katana will break. With Western blades, they can actually afford to block with the edge. I found it fascinating. Naruto was going through the memories he was regaining slowly. Seeing the swords of an inferior metal be broken so easily made him remember. So, what does that have to do with anything? Shinobu didn't get why he was mentioning it as she buttoned up her top. Just making conversation. I was challenged to a duel by a man from the West, and though he broken my sword, I won in the end. As my prize, I took his sword and melted it down. I reforged his sword into what you see now. Naruto admired his own blade. It was just a katana that was made using a Western steel, but that was all it needed to be. Your own sword. This metal is unique, but the number of impurities in the blade. Naruto had her sword in his sleeve, the remains of her sword, and he inspected them. My sword was made for piercing and stabbing, to inject poison. The issue with your sword is that it has little durability compared to other blades. Due to how thin the blade is, and the shape it takes, it has little weight. With your size, this blade is ill-suited for you, Naruto explained as he swung the broken blade a few times. Her eyebrow rose up, pulling her pants up her legs. But I can't fight as well with a heavier sword. Slashing power is decided by the force behind the swing, how thin the blade is, and how durable the blade is, and the force behind the swing is decided by weight of the sword hitting and the strength of your arm. Instead of a long sword, what you actually need is a short sword. Naruto showed the dagger size of her broken sword, and he swung it hard enough to slice through the wooden wall. I still lack the arm strength to cut off a demon's head. You do lack the strength. If you want to poison though, I would say cut the size of your blade into half, maybe a fourth. As it stands, use your sword like a stinger, and not a spear. Naruto couldn't see why she needed a full katana's length when she just wanted to poison an enemy. She was fast enough to use hit-and-run tactics, so the shorter blade would only enhance that ability. Your clothes certainly don't help. Naruto sighed as he turned around and looked at her. Mostly dressed now. My clothes. The female body is smaller than the male one. Your clothes offer a lot of wind resistance. You have a rather generous chest, which when running forward causes drag, and open chest, yes. Naruto asked when he looked at Shinobu, who palmed her forehead. An open-chested uniform would reduce wind resistance. Shinobu asked as she glanced away from Naruto through her fingers. In her hand, she imagined wind rushing between two PPED together with cloth. Then she imagined a hole in the cloth between the spheres and she could see why wind passing through the hole would improve speed. He opened cleavage that was in her original uniform before she burned it. The open chest that was given to all of the higher-ranked female demon slayers, that she and her sister both burned, and she got her own little sister to burn as well. You know somebody who wears an open cleavage attire? Yeah, I do, and let me guess, my butterfly cloak and pants. Ideally, you would wear some 4m of skirt to prevent you from slowing yourself down. With your breathing technique, you enhance yourself, but the faster you go, the more air resistance you will be met with. You have smooth legs. So a skirt would do a speed type like you well, yes. Naruto saw her palm her forehead with her other hand as well. She had always just assumed the uniform that her fellow female Hashira wore was sexist in how it made the females who wore it show off their bodies, but as it was explained to her she felt foolish for burning it. She wore a modified male uniform with loose-fitting hakama pants, and her oversized haori so that she could defend herself. Yet she never considered that she would be drastically lowering her speed. Shinobu took her cloak off, before she rolled the legs of her pants up. She even unbuttoned the buttons on her cleavage to open it up. She walked outside of the house, before she sucked in a deep breath. The veins on her legs were more visible, before she disappeared. In a flash so quick one with slow eyes would assume she just teleported. She appeared next to a nearby tree the very same second. I was almost 20% faster than I should have been. I could feel the wind rushing through my cleavage right then. Usually the faster I run, the more I feel a pressure against my chest, and my pants weren't flapping as much. Shinobu palmed her face again. The sexist uniform that she had been given wasn't sexist at all. It was literally designed to allow her to not be held back by being a large-breasted woman. The open cleavage really did reduce her resistance in the wind, and the skirt was preferred over pants due to how small her body was, and the amount of drag her oversized pants caused her when she moved fast. Are you okay? Shorts, instead of a skirt, would shorts be okay? Actually, if they were tight enough, I think shorts would be better than a skirt. A tight-fitting uniform would be best, that or a loose enough uniform that wind can freely go through it. Naruto showed his own clothes. For once Shinobu looked at that. He wore his kimono with the chest wide open, and it was loose enough that when he ran the wind would go through the open chest and come out the sleeves. He didn't wear hakama pants, his kimono just went down to shins but it was so loose that when he moved quickly it would move with the wind. So why not the men? Shinobu couldn't believe that she was so dumb in just assuming the uniform was sexist. Men have larger bodies normally, so for us the amount of wind resistance pants cause is greatly reduced. After all, our limbs are normally longer, our bones heavier as well. We are built sturdier, and we aren't nearly as agile or flexible. Loose, revealing clothes allow you smaller women to be agile and flexible, while reducing drag. I would have thought that was common knowledge. Naruto scratched the back of his head. No. No, it really isn't. Shinobu stared at him. I mean, when the RPS gives you a uniform with your boobs half revealed and a short skirt, you just assume they give it to you because you're a woman. I mean, they did give it to you because you're a woman. Your bones are thinner, so it isn't like more skin being covered will protect you, so why not give you a revealing uniform that boosts your chances of dodging an attack? I mean, wearing armor doesn't negate the shock from being hit. Naruto deadpanned at her. I feel dumb. Why? I feel dumb, because I would have put up a better fight if I was wearing the same uniform as the love Hashira. She has her cleavage exposes and wears a mini skirt, and even her haori is short and fits her body better. Shinobu couldn't believe that the love-struck fool of a girl was smarter than she was. And it came to knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the uniform. No wonder all my students died. I made all of them wear the male uniforms. Shinobu felt dread deep in her soul for that. She had been slowing her people down by a large degree during their battles. A 20% difference in speed was massive in a fast-paced battle, and the pressure on her chest in her normal uniform made it harder for her to breathe at faster speeds. She felt so guilty. I mean, the male uniform didn't exactly stop me from breaking your ribs. I noticed those are very durable clothes. Of course, it is always your choice to make what you wear in battle. Still, the ideal clothing for men and women in battle is different, if it were up to me. Naruto didn't finish what he was saying. Clearly, you're ready to travel home, Naruto stated as he looked at Shinobu. She rolled her pants down, but she kept her cleavage open with her cheeks dusted pink from having half of her breasts casually exposed. Also, she was humiliated that she had never figured out the purpose of the uniform being revealing before now. I'm recovered enough to travel, and I ask you again, will you come home with me? Shinobu offered Naruto a hand. Naruto walked right by her. I don't see why you're asking, we're friends, so let's go home. Shinobu lowered her hand with her smile returning to her face. Hours later, I can't travel during the day. Naruto pointed out to Shinobu as he stood in the dark of a hole he dug, and he placed a boulder on top of the hole. Demons can control their size, maybe if I make a box. I can carry you during the day if you shrink down to a child size. Shinobu offered a solution to their severe limitations in traveling. She needed to sleep at night, and he couldn't go out in the day. That only left realistically a few hours they could travel, and she was still not in a condition to go too long without rest. She also needed to eat during the travel, which took up more time. That is a decent idea, but it sounds boring being in a box for hours. Hours later, I was right, I hate this. I hate being in this box. Oh shush you, now we can travel during the day. Shinobu held a box on her back with a strap. She was holding Naruto's sword at her side, since his sword could not shrink in size. It's a bumpy ride, I have no control over anything, and at any moment I feel like you'll drop me or bump into something. It doesn't hurt or anything, but the anticipating of it happening is the worst. You did that on purpose. Shinobu had smacked the box against a tree. I don't know what you're talking about, my ribs are still bruised. I guess I just lost control and twitched the wrong muscle. Shinobu indeed that on purpose is a small form of revenge for him beating her in their duel and breaking her bones. Whoops. Shinobu bumped into another tree that they passed by. Ow. Shinobu felt a sharp jab into her spine. Naruto stuck his finger through the box and poked her hard enough, and with the hole being on her back the sun wasn't peeking into the box. She just responded with a pout, since now she could see he would poke her every time she bumped into a tree. She felt pity for anyone who had to travel with a demon. It was not easy. Shinobu smiled. She was back. I should greet Kanao, or maybe I should give myself a checkup. Shinobu had a list of things she needed to do. She needed to find a place to hide Naruto until she could gather the Hashira together, and for when she could summon their leader. She blinked. Shinobu could feel something in the air, and she noticed that there was something even more off. A funeral service. Did a Hashira die while I was gone? Shinobu felt worried, extremely worried as she hurried through funeral candles. Even without a powerful sense of smell, she knew that smell well enough that she was put on alert. She even knew where the funeral was being held, because it was going to be held in the same place. You're walking faster, should I be worried? No, It seems a Hashira or a high-ranking member has died. Shinobu knew Naruto didn't need to be worried. You sure we aren't about to walk in on them giving you a funeral service? I mean, you did disappear for a while. I'm sure they think I ate you or something, Naruto noted from inside of the box. It wasn't like it would be unusual for her to have a funeral held for her. Shinobu nodded her head. Right, I'm alive, I forgot my own situation. Shinobu had long since not forgotten, but she had stopped feeling like Naruto was a demon. She saw him as Naruto, so it slipped her mind that he wasn't just healing her. Her extended time away from the demon slayers would have given off the impression that she had been digested by a demon by that point. It would be funny if it wasn't horrifying. Was she about to walk in on her own funeral? She got her answer moments later when several of her fellow Ira came walking out of the building holding a coffin up with her picture on top of it. There was a very awkward moment when every single person who was walking out of the building looked right at her, and eyes widened. Her coffin dropped into the first as quite a few of her fellow Hashira were frozen in place. Ha, I heard the sound of a coffin dropping. This must be very awkward for you, you ruined your own funeral. Shut up. Shinobu dropped Naruto on the ground, much to his annoyance. Shinobu, you're alive. Yeah, I guess I am. Hey, seems it wasn't my time to go just yet, Shinobu stated, and she was startled when a hand shot out of the floor in the building. Everyone turned around, and nobody had their swords on them when Naruto came out of the ground. Shinobu looked at the box on the ground, and saw that Naruto had dug through the box. Demon, sup, I'm Uzumaki Naruto, and I'm the demon that beat her. I don't eat humans, and I'm willing to join you guys in killing this Muzan. Dickhead. Naruto introduced himself with a wave of his head. The demon slayers were all on high alert, and by instinct they reached for the swords that they would normally be carrying. Of course, you can fight me if you want, but be warned, I have a few rules that you need to follow if you want to fight me. Naruto could see that none of the demon slayers were dumb enough to fight him without their swords. One grabbed Naruto's sword from Shinobu in an instant. Tsunemi, don't. Tsunemi is your name. Naruto saw a white-haired boy, covered in fully body scars rushing towards him with his own sword. Naruto could see he had hatred in his eyes, and fury in his swing. It was daytime, so realistically all he needed to do was find some way to get Naruto out of the building and into sunlight. Naruto pricked his finger, his blood touched his shadow, and a clone of himself sprang right from his shadow and blocked the sword strike. Blood demon art, shadow cloning. I've been wanting to try it out. Naruto showed 18 copies of himself were all standing in the ground, and the clone that blocked the sword strike grabbed his sword for him and gave it back to him. Naruto held his sword, before he tossed it across the yard towards Shinobu for her to sheath it. But I'm not here to fight. If I was here to fight, you would all be dead. Naruto made all of his clones vanish. Naruto, stop causing problems. I am sorry everyone, it seems I will need to explain myself. Naruto, you stay here and don't cause any more problems for my comrades. Shinobu walked straight towards Naruto and gave him his sheathed sword back. Shinobu, you just have a weapon to a demon. Hours later, there is a lot of screaming and yelling going on in there. Naruto was not allowed into the building that the meeting was being held at, but it was nighttime now so it wasn't like he had anything better to do. The place they were located at was surrounded by wisteria blossoms. So without being in a box he was kind of forced to stay on the mansion grounds, and not leave. They were deciding his fate. He was being put under watch by two of the Hashira who had gotten their swords. Sorry about all of this. Oh, it's no problem at all. Naruto had the pink and green-haired Hashira woman that Shinobu described to him as named Mitsuri, and the other one was a very quiet man named Gyu, who was just looking at him with very uneasy eyes. You remind me of this woman I killed a long time ago. As a human, I killed her as a human. Naruto saw that his words put them on guard. The words he used to defend himself put them both even more on guard. You murdered people as a human. Only with very good reason, and I promise, I had a good reason. This woman I killed had pink hair and green eyes, just like you, and she was super pretty too, but she was a doctor, and she was trying to save the life of the man who had my lover killed. Honestly, I kind of regret killing her. Naruto had memories of his human life flood his brain when he saw this girl close up. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. It's cool, honestly, I'm kind of numb to it now. So, Gyu, tell me, is it true that nobody really likes you? Naruto repeated what Shinobu told him about Gyu. Quote. People like me, I like you, Mitsuri confirmed for Gyu, who didn't seem to be that encouraged by the words of the woman. You like everyone, how about me? Naruto asked Mitsuri with a smile, and she got up. She started to circle around him while he just sat there, and she observed him closely. Gyu watched Naruto, with his own thoughts on the matter. A demon who had never eaten a human was rare. He only knew of one other case like this, and that demon was not neural. Why as conscious as the one sitting next to him? Quote. I think you are a good guy, I really hope I don't have to fight you. Mitsuri stated as she gave Naruto a double thumbs up. He returned it. So, you really don't eat inhumans? Nope, and you really want to join the Corps, and fight Muzan with us? Mitsuri asked her next question, since she had no clue what to think about it herself. It sounded pretty amazing that a demon who didn't eat humans existed, and that he could beat a human without eating them after was even more so amazing. Quote. So how did you become a demon? I had sex with a demon woman, and she turned me. Quote. Oh, Mitsuri blushed crimson when Naruto was extremely blunt about the memories he was getting back. She didn't expect him to so bluntly answer the question like that. Quote. Wait, you got romantic with a demon after your lover died, what about loyalty? Mitsuri asked when something occurred to her. Naruto stared at her. Quote. I mean, love is love, right, if your lover dies. And you don't give up on love, you can find a new love eventually, speaking of which. You're really cute, want to go on a date after they let me join? Naruto offered a hand to Mitsuri. She collapsed from his offer. Her brain shut down. Is she okay? Naruto asked Gyu when Mitsuri just mentally shut down, and seemed to not be able to completely process what he just asked her. You, a demon, asked her on a date. So, she's cute, and I like how open she is. I mean, asking a woman on a date is kind of how you see if you and her have anything in common. Is it that weird? I mean, I spent literally months bonding with a demon before we got together. Naruto reached out and bonked Mitsuri on top of the head a few times to see if he could restart her brain. Gyu placed his hand on his sword seeing Naruto touching her. Oh, what did you ask? Naruto cleared his throat. Okay then, I will repeat it, would you like to go on a date with me later? Naruto repeated his offer. She crawled over to him. A date? Like, a real date. The kind that men and women go on, so that they can see if they are interested in you do before you fall in love and get married. That kind of date. Mitsuri grabbed onto Naruto's cloak and started to shake him back and forth. She was breathing heavily, and visibly excited just from the offer that he gave her. Naruto didn't feel that put off by her. Yes. So, if we go on a date, and it goes well, you're saying that you might be interested in pursuing a furthering relationship with me. Like the kind of relationship that leads to getting married. Mitsuri was face to face with him now. She was in her own delusions. If it leads to getting married, then sure. Naruto wasn't put off by how close she was or how desperate that she seemed. Married. Like, married, husband and wife. Husband and wife. Quote. Husband and wife. Mitsuri went off into her own word and sat away from Naruto. Seemingly happy with his responses to her questions. Gyu was just silent, and took his hand off of his sword with a neutral look. Oh, but aren't you and Shinobu? Mitsuri pushed her fingers together. He waved her off. Nope, I'm just good friends with Shinobu's older sister is all, so Shinobu is like a nice younger sister to me. Naruto wouldn't ask Shinobu out on a date after what they had been through. I accept the date then. Yes. Mitsuri was very excited. She had a date. Mitsuri was excited. She was impossibly excited, since she had a date with a handsome, powerful man. He wasn't just that though. He was also casual, and kind to add to it. He even asked her out on a date, and not the other way around. Obviously, the date was going to be taking place after the sun went down. And even more obviously she needed to keep her sword on her just in case since her date wasn't exactly somebody they were supposed to just trust. The master stated that Naruto was to be accepted, but he was to be treated as a potential future hostile enemy. She didn't know what to wear to her date that would complement her looks. Can you not do that here? Shinobu asked as she looked at Mitsuri. who was changing in and out of different kimonos while inside of her lab. She was currently researching Naruto's demon blood, since she had never gotten the chance to research the blood of such a powerful demon. Naruto was a demon that was simply too much for Hashira to handle, meaning she could test a lot of things on his blood. What are you even doing? Shinobu actually wanted to ask about that though. Why was Mitsuri in her lab in the first place? They weren't particularly close, they were both female Hashira and had a decent relationship, but to say they were close enough for Mitsuri to strip to her underwear right in front of her was not true at all. You're super smart, and you're super close to Naruto, do you think there is a chance of, Mitsuri couldn't believe it. She didn't know if she wanted to wear Western underwear, Japanese underwear, or if she wanted to wear nothing at all under her kimono. She knew that some dates could end in things getting heated, and she didn't know if she was the type of girl who would do that on the first date or not. She didn't even know if she would be fine with it going that far or not with a guy she just met. What if he seduced her? She had to be prepared for the situation in where he seduced her, so she had to wear nice underwear just in case he charmed her into bed. What does Naruto have to do with this? Shinobu didn't understand why Mitsuri was bringing up Naruto of all people as an explanation for why she was constantly stripping out of her clothes and trying on new ones. She was researching his blood at the moment, as well as one of his fangs, and a hair sample from him. He grew them right back. Well, aren't you close to him? I am, he is a friend, why are you bringing him up though? Shinobu still didn't get the reason why. Mitsuri had only known Naruto for about 2 days. She shouldn't be this excited to bring up his name like that. We're going on a date tonight. With Naruto. So, this is kind of boring. For security reasons, during the day he was supposed to stay inside of a secured room with no windows or light at all. It was soundproof, for the most part, and the door only had a small slit for people to talk to him through it. Naruto hoped this was not a permanent thing. Well, at least he had a date with Mitsuri at night to ease his extreme boredom. Naruto had given his sword to the Hashira, so they could take it to the swordsmith village and get it treated with some iron that could kill a demon. Naruto, why did you ask Mitsuri out on a date? That was Shinobu's voice. I asked her out on a date, because she is pretty, and seems fun. Are you jealous? Naruto teased Shinobu through the door. Not at all, but you're a demon, and she is human. Are you sure this relationship will work out? Also, the others won't trust you. Shinobu was working hard to try and research Naruto's potent blood, to see if she could return him back to his human life. He wasn't making it easy for her though by doing suspicious things like asking one of the Hashira out on a date, right after meeting her. Naruto, you are the only demon I trust, but, please, if you feel any urges. I've had sex. If you have other urges, please. I'm working on a way to turn you human again, please, don't tempt yourself. Shinobu knew that Naruto did still have those urges. As much as he pretended to be okay, he was starving himself by demon standards. If he nibbled her neck just a little too hard, or sucked on her lips a little too much, he could unleash his wanton hunger. The two of them shared a silence. Hey, promise me Naruto that you will be careful. Also, Mitsuri, really, she is a hopeless romantic, and desperate. If you were looking for a girl, I have a younger sister who I could introduce you to. She has her own issues, but I feel a man like you could do her wonders. Shinobu would rather that Naruto go for her own younger sister. There was a bit of an age gap between them, but that didn't matter to her very much. She just wanted to help her younger sister, and her older sister's weird-ass demon friend. She wanted everyone to be happy. Actually, I do have another objective by trying to date Mitsuri. You see, that woman is the opposite of you, she is very strong, she is almost too much of a good fit for a swordsman. Naruto could smell her unique body, how densely packed her muscles were, how much nutrition that could be gained by eating her. She was truly uniquely suited for murdering demons. Shinobu leaned up against the door. Too much. Yeah, too much. She's a good woman, she is a good woman down to her very core. This life was not the life that was made for her. She truly does not hold any real hatred towards demons in her heart, unlike you. Naruto could tell that sort of thing. Mitsuri was just too much of a sweet treat for her own good. Am I not a good woman? Shinobu caught that. Shinobu, you are beautiful, feminine, and smart, but you are also aggressive, sadistic, and downright malicious towards your enemies. Nothing against you, but despite not being suited for combat, your sheer hatred and anger has allowed you to become a very good demon slayer. You are a problem child. Naruto laughed when he could feel Shinobu's jaw drop at the casual insults. Ah, you're right, but did you have to say it out loud? Shinobu, I love you very dearly as a friend, so yes, I had to point out your flaws. You deserve the truth, and Mitsuri deserves to have a fun date tonight. Oh, do me a favor and tell her my favorite color is orange. Later, his favorite color is purple. A purple kimono. Oh, I should see if I have orange underwear. His second favorite color is bright green. Shinobu stated with malice in her smile. She was going to approve of the date, but for Naruto's teasing she was going to make sure that Mitsuri did not wear his favorite color to the date. Mitsuri was getting dressed up, and Shinobu looked at her and saw her pure, innocent smile. Here, let's get you fitted. No, Naruto was right, Mitsuri was a pure girl and this date should go well. She should support the date, as a comrade and as somebody who wanted to see Naruto happy as well. She wanted both of them to be happy with each other during the date, even if she had to get her revenge in some other way that was even more petty. I got a date with a real guy, I got a date. Mitsuri started to skip off to meet Naruto. Actually skip, she was just that happy. She really is a girl. I hope they have a good date. Shinobu took a breath, she was going to find a cure for the demon infection for sure. So handsome. Oh, am I? Naruto was just wearing his usual clothes. Though he didn't have the bandages on his chest exposed like normal. He was wearing his kimono with modesty, and his sword was hidden away so as to not ruin his image. He used a little demon shapeshifting to transform his red eyes back to the blue color that they had been when he was a human. He also transformed his claws back into regular fingernails. He had taken on a human appearance, though he lacked the human light to his eyes. Yes, you are very handsome, and what about me? Mitsuri took a step forward and twirled around on her foot. You look delicious. ... I'm joking, you look beautiful. Naruto deadpanned when his joke fell slightly flat. He forgot for a moment that humans were supposed to be his food source, so her paling at the joke was to be expected. She wore more clothes than she usually wore to say the least, with her cleavage actually covered up. She wore a beautiful orange kimono that clashed beautifully with her strange hair color, and she wore a small haori over her kimono. She was dressed very nicely, in various shades of orange, white, and purple. I do. You look very beautiful. Here, Naruto offered his arm to her. This is the part where you hold my arm. And we walk off to our date. Naruto whispered to her. She got an intense sense of confusion and started to point in lots of directions. Oh, yeah, right. I've never been on a date before, so please be patient with me, and honestly pay attention to my good points. Mitsuri was in the middle of a panic. She was struggling to get into the flow of a date. She turned crimson red when Naruto grabbed her hand and held it. He smiled at her. -2 hours later. So, where is this date going to be? Mitsuri felt her heart pounding. They had been walking through a forest for hours. They were practically in the middle of nowhere. She had her sword tucked away inside of her kimono if it was needed, though she doubted she would be able to win the fight. They didn't have much a conversation, since she would get nervous about talking on a date. She flubbed her words quite a bit, biting her tongue often as well. Naruto stopped walking. We're here. Naruto stopped. When they were in front of a small creek, the soft moving water gave a pleasant atmosphere. Naruto sat down and took his sandals off, before he soaked his feet in the water. Naruto placed his hand on the rocks next to him. What are we doing here? I could have taken you into town, and we could have gotten dinner, but I think this is a bit more romantic. It's a full moon tonight, the water here is clear, and soft. Naruto gently touched the water and showed how the moon was reflected in the water. Also, you seemed stressed. Did you sleep much before the date? Naruto asked her. She was beautiful, but she seemed tired. Mitsuri ended up sitting next to him, sitting on her legs and not soaking her feet in the water like him. This is my first date, everything needs to be perfect, or else you might not want to marry me. Oops. Mitsuri had accidentally revealed her goal to find a husband. She turned pale, not blushing like many others, and looked towards Naruto like her life was over. ... You're not going to reject me, for wanting to get married. Naruto smiled. Oh, you consider me somebody you can marry. Okay then, so was this date a subtle marriage interview for you? Naruto could tell. She had flubbed on those before. She had scared away weaker men in the past with her strength, and now she had some sort of complex about it. Her pale face became a blush, and she looked away from him. Naruto laughed and tilted his head to the side. Maybe. Well, what I'm looking for in a wife is kindness, beauty, and love. Why? I would have no problem marrying you if you had these traits. I've failed at romance a few times myself, so I'm also quite eager to get married. Naruto calmed her nerves. That's it, I'm kind. I have a ton of love in me. Also, yes, you are indeed beautiful. Naruto confirmed for her, and she smiled brightly like a star. So, you'll marry me. You will. I fulfill all of those conditions, so you will marry me, right, like for real. Marry me for real, even though I'm a freakishly strong woman, and my hair is weird. Mitsuri was freaking out. She couldn't believe that her chance to get married to somebody was right in front of her. She was shaking Naruto from side to side, disturbing his feet in the water. Naruto smiled. I would be happy to marry you, on a single condition. I have only a single condition. You're extremely well suited for combat. But with your personality, you will get yourself killed, so retire. Retire from the Demon Slayer Corps, and I will make you my wife. Allow me to fight demons in your place. Naruto had no sort of attachment to the idea of marrying purely for love. He believed that he could fall in love with any woman if she was kind enough, and he could show anyone love. Deal. You're not going to think about it. Aren't you on some sort of journey to avenge dead family members, or? Nope. All my family members are alive and well. I ran away from home and joined the demo. Slayers so that I could find a man who was stronger than me to marry. You're stronger than me, so if you agree to marry me, I can happily retire and let you do all the fighting instead. You're stronger than me, so I am sure you won't die. And I'm afraid of dying. Mitsuri had zero problems at all with his single condition for marrying her. Her eagerness to get a husband was a little shocking. Just curious, what were your traits you were looking for in a husband? Naruto could hardly believe that she was this desperate to get married. Simple. He needs to be kind and stronger than me, and not mind how much I eat, or my hair color. So, you pass all my requirements. Oh, I can't wait to introduce you to my family. Oh, better wait until it is safe to go back. Oh, and even if I retire, can I still help the demon slayers with their training and stuff? Mitsuri didn't quite want to give up her job. She would be happy to not see the battlefield anymore, but to not train the less demon slayers to become able to hunt demons would be wrong of her. She started to smile at him after shutting up. Very well, then I give this to you. Naruto took a dagger out of his sleeve, not his sword, and handed it to her. My gift to you for accepting a marriage proposal. If you accept the gift, then you accept yourself as my fiancé. Naruto made the offer to her. The second he opened up the palm of his hand, the dagger was gone. Mitsuri was clutching it to her breasts tightly. It's mine now, no taking it back, you're my fiancé now. This is mine, and that makes you mine. Mitsuri backed away from him to stop him from trying to take the dagger back. Naruto laughed a little, before he reached up and simply unsheathed the dagger in front of her. He handed the dagger itself to her. It's a dagger. I've carried this dagger with me for most of my human life. It belongs to you now. This dagger is poisoned, so never let it cut you. I'll die. No, you will just get really bad stomach cramps and lose control of your bowels. This dagger was reserved for people I didn't want to kill, but wanted to feel humiliation. Naruto deadpanned, since this dagger was more for humiliation than murder. Just don't let it cut you. Naruto told her, and heifer her. Do not let it cut me. You have to treat this dagger carefully, and with respect, cherish this dagger like you would be your fiancé who gave it to you. Naruto hoped that sounded cool, because he really hoped it sounded cool and profound. Mitsuri leaned it for a kiss. Let's save our first kiss for when we don't have an audience. Naruto pushed her forehead and moved her away from him. She blinked and looked around, before she gasped when she saw people running away from them and deeper into the forest. She turned bright red. That is humiliating. I managed to get a fiancé, and now everyone knows. Wait. Those were demons. I can tell. We need to kill them before they cause trouble. Mitsuri realized that the people watching them had been demons. She pulled her sword from her kimono, before Naruto took her sword from her. You're retired now, Please, just stay right here while I take care of the demons. Naruto vanished. Naruto reappeared. The demons are all dead. Naruto took care of the demons with Mitsuri's extremely weird, pink sword that was more like a whip than a sword. Remember, I don't want you risking your life anymore. Enjoy being my woman, and allow me to take on all the world's problems for you. You need only ask. Naruto returned her sword to her after sheathing it. Oh right. I guess I am going to retire, to be a wife. I'm going to be a wife, me, a wife. I thought I was going to die, being killed by a demon, before I ever got married, but now I have a fiancé. Mitsuri was all sunshine and happiness again. Naruto lost his smile, because that was the end of the line for you. If you had continued on this path, you would have lost your life. You are a soul too pure for the battlefield. Still, expected her to put up some more resistance. Well, she's a bit of a freak. I guess that makes her the perfect wife for me. Naruto laughed to himself, mentally mocking both himself and Mitsuri. To think that this was how he would get his second fiancé. Hopefully this one would actually end up becoming a wife. So, he isn't dangerous. No, he isn't dangerous. Did you come to just pester me about Naruto, or did you come to check up on my injuries? What did you come for, Gyu? Shinobu asked as she sighed and stopped working on her new project. She wanted to make a medicine that could turn a demon into a human, but she wasn't having any luck making even the smallest amount of progress. The water Hashira had come to visit her. Naruto, you call him by his name, and not just demon. Gyu whispered under his breath. He's my friend, and he's friends with my sister. It would be very disrespectful to call him demon and not by his name. Shinobu was studying how Naruto's blood reacted to all of the different medicines that she had already, but they worked just as she would expect them to work. The ones she designed to make him human just didn't work. The door opened. Naruto came in. Shinobu, Naruto made eye contact with Gyu for a brief moment, and the water Hashira had his hand travel to the handle of his sword. He did not unsheath his sword, but he kept a hand there just in case he needed to bring it out. Naruto walked past him without commenting on it. Well, my date with Mitsuri went well. It turned into less of a date, and more of an fiancé interview. Naruto updated Shinobu. She nodded. I expected as much. Did you let her down gently? Shinobu didn't want to love Hashir. To become too heartbroken by another failed interview. The woman had failed so many interviews at this point that it was downright sad. Shinobu looked at Gyu, and she saw his hand was on his sword. She didn't comment on it, but a vein twitched on her forehead as she struggled to keep her smiling face into a smile. He kept his hand on his sword, and he observed Naruto silently, waiting for him to pull some kind of stunt. Actually, I think she's a good woman. She's a gentle soul, and though she was born with a strong warrior's body, the battlefield isn't her place. If she promises to retire as a Hashira, and allow me to take her place fighting, then I'll accept her as my fiancé. Naruto stated to Shinobu. There was a very long pause. I don't approve of this. Shinobu dropped her smile, and she slowly stood up. You don't. Naruto was a little surprised. She approved of the date. Why not this? You aren't in love with her. You deserve to marry a girl you're in love with. She's a great woman, she's fun, easygoing, and beautiful, but you don't love her. She's an amazing and beautiful woman, cute and cheerful. Shinobu didn't have an argument against Mitsuri. She was very fond of her fellow Hashira. She looked at Gyu for an argument, but she sighed when she saw he was awkward and didn't have a single comment he could make. He was a little stunned by everything that was going on. Pat, I'm not a child, please don't. Pat, okay, I'll talk about this with Mitsuri. Shinobu got her head pat by the tall demon in front of her. Her lips trembled as she tried to not smile, but failed when she felt his big hands gently stroking the top of her head. It was hard for her to stay as angry as she normally was. Gyu's eyes were wide. Gyu, please leave, Shinobu asked him, sternly as she smacked Naruto's hand away. Hours later, this room isn't well shaded, so you may want to leave, the sun will be up soon. Shinobu told Naruto. She had gone back to working on her cure for him, without telling him about it. If you got me the blue spider lily, well, using that I may be able to make you immune to the sun. Shinobu really wanted to use it to turn him human again. Naruto smiled at her. She raised an eyebrow, since that wasn't the right response. I won't do that. The only places I've seen that flower grow, as on the graves of people long past. I won't disturb their graves. Naruto wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to get you to budge on that. I'll give up on it then, but what I won't give up on is you marrying Mitsuri. You're a demon, and she's human, you aren't in love with her either. She falls in love super easy. Shinobu stopped what she was about to say. You're thinking I should have married your sister. That I would have fallen in love with her if she were alive, that she would still be alive, if only she met me sooner, aren't you? Naruto asked her as he looked at the back of her head. He wasn't reading her mind, but he felt that was where her thoughts were going. He understood why it would make it awkward for her. Her cheeks went pink. Stop reading my feelings, you make me feel naked sometimes. Shinobu had never met a person who she felt like her entire soul was on display for. But yeah, I wish you had met my sister when she was alive, you two would have loved each other. And with your strength, she would still be around today, is it so wrong for me to wish that? Naruto didn't have an answer at first. No. But is that the only reason? Naruto felt like she was leaving part out. My sister never got married, she stayed single until the day she died, always looking after me. I wish she could have experienced that happiness. I know. She would have been happy with somebody like you. Shinobu admitted the rest of what she was thinking. Naruto smiled. He stood up. Okay then, I guess I'll marry your sister first. I've never gone it myself. But I do remember hearing about ghost marriages before. If you wish, I could always marry your sister, then she won't be unwed. Naruto stated. She sighed. No, thank you, but no. I appreciate the sentiment. I'm just being selfish. Even if you married her, it wouldn't change the past at all. Shinobu did smile softly without looking at him. Why did you agree to marry Mitsuri if you aren't in love with her? Shinobu asked. Call it a whim, but I see her dying a horrible death. Her gentle, loving soul will be the death of her one day. I don't want to see her life extinguished, when I can save it. She's also very pretty. Joke. It got a small laugh. And me, you always say I'm not suited for battle, won't you marry me and take me off the battlefield too? You're a tiny ball of pure anger. No amount of me marrying you will prevent you from hunting down every demon you can. One day, I'll help you get your justice for your sister, whatever happens after that. I'll pick up the pieces. Naruto stated. That is a very scary statement for my well-being. Shinobu deadpanned. Was she going to die if she got her revenge? You'll be a crying, snivel, ling mess by the time you avenge your sister. You will cover my entire chest with tears, snot, and saliva, and maybe blood too. You may also lose a few limbs. Naruto couldn't promise anything other than no matter how it ended, it would end in a very big mess. He was either going to be picking up the pieces of her corpse, or she would manage to succeed and he would be holding her as she cried in his arms. He was going to be picking up the shattered pieces of her psyche, or he would be holding onto a broken corpse. And you won't stop me. I will be by your side the entire time, but I won't stop you. I do think you should give up on revenge, but we both know you won't. Naruto wasn't a genius, but he didn't need to be to tell her that. She smiled. Not until every demon is destroyed. I'm a demon, obviously not you, you're a special exception. Shinobu assured him that she wouldn't try to slay him in the future, though after their last battle she was absolutely sure to. She couldn't kill him if she tried her hardest. Naruto, future husband, it's almost daytime, you should sleep in my room. Well, I guess I better leave. Naruto could hear Mitsuri calling out to him. I hope you fall in love with her. Will do. Naruto promised Shinobu. He then left to be with his fiancée. Thanks for watching. Actually, I think orange would.